This is the program on looking for jobs. Let's first get right back to this powerful false belief. I've got a criminal record, so no one will hire me. Getting rid of this belief is crucial because if you don't, it will create a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will go out into the workforce acting and looking like you don't believe you can be hired. And how do you think a potential employer will react to that?
I think they feel like people are going to judge them more than they actually do. They think that as soon as they tell somebody they have a criminal background, that that person is going to turn them away. It really isn't true. People are more understanding than they think they are. It is not uncommon for people to have a criminal background of some type. You just need to prove yourself, and you may have to try a little bit harder to prove yourself, but once you do that, people are willing to trust you.
There are many employers who will hire ex-offenders. The ex-offender has to be able to be reliable and resourceful, dependable, and willing to learn. So if they have some of those characteristics, it makes them successful. But there are many people who will hire them. There are some who won't, but there's just as many who will. You just have to keep trying.
There are employers out there who will understand that somebody has made poor choices and have paid the consequences, but are prepared to give them a clean slate, and they need to be willing to be open enough about it and to give the employer the opportunity to work with them.
Just because you have a record, it's not the end of the world. It does make things harder. That's true. I would be lying if I said, oh, your life is going to be gravy, you get out, and they're like, yeah, welcome. But you have to be determined. You have to have a plan, and you have to have goals for yourself. Realize that just you have dreams, you have goals, you have things you want to do. Make a plan for yourself and work towards it. Don't give up. I don't care who tells you no. Keep on working for whatever it is that you want to do. And if you keep on knocking, a door will open.
Next, we come back to attitude. That attitude you have about looking for a job and the attitude you bring into a job interview is more important than anything else in getting hired.
Absolutely. Something to prove. Ready, chomping at the bit to get out there and prove to the world that, yes, I can do this. And it probably shows in 90% of the people that go for an interview. If they're really interested and they're really eager, it's going to show. Hey, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to, let's do this. Let's start a new life. And it shows in your appearance and your outlook, how you speak. That's employer. I know I hire. I used to do that as part of my, and you could always tell the ones that are gung-ho, oh yeah, this is one I want to hire.
You have to be serious about this. You can't go in there with a real lighthearted, well, I don't care if I get this, I don't, if I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. You can't have that kind of attitude. It goes right back to the positive. Be positive. Bring out your skills, your strengths. Really portray that to them. Eagerness. You can't go in there and try and con your way through a job interview. It's not going to happen. These people, they know better. You have to work at it, and if you're not good at it, then you need to get good at it while you have the chance. Get somebody to practice with.
Have a positive attitude. Just be punctual. And your attitude is really what is going to make and break you in this world. If you come into a job and you're sitting down with me, who I interview people almost every other day, your attitude is really going to determine whether or not I hire you for a job. If you have a positive attitude and you look like you're willing to learn and do what it takes to succeed, then absolutely, I'm going to sympathize with you and give you an opportunity. But if you come in with this a poor attitude and you don't care and you show it in your demeanor and your personality that you don't care, then I truly sorry to say, but I'm just not going to care to help you.
lay out a priority list. I need somewhere to go, I need a job, and I need an attitude change, and then start working on those right there, preferably the attitude change first. Because if you come out with a bitter attitude because you got yourself in trouble, you got in there, now you come out with a bitter attitude, you're going to be right back in there again.
After speaking with a lot of different employers, the number one thing that they're looking for is stability, loyalty. An employer does not like to have to look for people either. It's just as much anxiety driven as it is for you to look. They don't want to have to do that every 2-3 months. They're looking for stability, someone that's going to be there for a year or so. Not forever, nobody stays in their jobs forever anymore. However, long enough where they're going to learn something, they can get the job done for them.
As an employer, we are looking for folks. We need people that are willing to come out and work hard, that have a want-to attitude, a willingness to be trained, to listen, to work as a team with other people. And in the business environment that's out here, there's lots of businesses that are willing to give people a chance.
Your job search skills are also very important. You don't want to just wander around looking for help wanted signs. Looking in the classified ads is better, but there are even more helpful ways to go about it. There are many agencies that will help you find a job, set up interviews, work with you on preparing a resume, and so on. 2 of those are One-Stop Centers and Project Reconnect. These programs are so important that we have prepared complete programs on them that you will be seeing later on in your transition classes. But no matter how you look for jobs, you need to be prepared to be turned down for some jobs that you apply for and move on to the next interview without becoming discouraged. This happens to everyone who looks for work regardless of whether or not they've been incarcerated.
A lot of it is going to be you're going to put in a lot of applications, and you can't get discouraged when they don't call. You have to follow up. You have to follow up on those applications, and if they tell you, well, they're being reviewed, move on. Don't wait. You could still call them back, but don't wait for them to call you. You have to get out there and you have to get application after application after application out. I mean, that's going to be the hardest thing, is trying to find a job. It's very, very hard when you have any type of a conviction. So I would say that's definitely one of the obstacles. You just don't give up. Just get out there, keep doing it, and you'll get a job. Somebody will give you a job. It may not be the best job in the whole wide world, but it'll put money in your pocket and it'll get you started. It'll get you your as long as you show up on time and you do what you're supposed to do with that job. If you move on to another job that pays better, at least you got that person saying, you know what, that person's a good worker. They worked hard, they were on time, they were responsible, they never gave me any lip, they were a good person. So yeah, I would recommend you to hire them.
There is an abundance of programs out there. There are a lot of well-meaning people in a variety of organizations, nonprofits, community-based, even religious-based programs that want to help kids and people get on their feet and stay on their feet and make successes of their lives. You just have to be willing to ask for some help and say, this is my goal, can you help me reach it? And if they say, no, that's not what we do, your follow-up question is, well, do you know who else I can talk to? Because there are lots of programs out there. Now, you may have to ask a few people to find the program that's right for you or the assistance that you need, but there are lots of programs out there, and people are looking. People that want to help are looking for other people that need the help, that are willing to work and make their lives a success.
Some of the services that I offer here in the Resource Center are career interest testing, resume writing, which is a big one. Everybody wants a resume nowadays, even for your local cashier. So we help them write them really correctly and make them look correctly. Interviewing skills is another big one. You have to be able to play the game. It's a game, learn to play it and play it to win. And that's pretty much what we help them do. And then we help them do a job search, teaching them where to look, who to talk to, who not to talk to, what to say and what not to say, and bring it all into a positive light. When dealing with the job search, I first start to try to get to know somebody a little bit. What are your interests? Where have you been? What's your history? It reflects in the future. If you don't like to be outdoors, you certainly don't want to go out digging ditches. If you don't want to be indoors, you're not going to like working in front of a computer all day long. So I try to flesh that out, find out where their interests are, where perhaps some of their skills are and strengths are, and work for them.
Being prepared for job interviews is crucial. The way you dress, the way you speak, and how you answer questions about your incarceration is very important. You should practice your responses to the kinds of questions employers will ask you before you are released.
You, in your resumes, you always want to make sure that you have your objective, you have your heading with your name and your information spelled correctly, your local address, your permanent address. You want to make sure that you have your listing of your previous jobs in order from current to past. You also want to make sure you have your education down there. And any skills that you have dealt with and that you know of, make sure you have those listed. And you want to always make sure that it's neat, in order, everything lined up so that it stands out. Because, again, before that person sees you, they're judging you on that piece of paper. I'm looking at that piece of paper, how articulate you are, that the words flow, that each sentence is a complete sentence, and that it's neat. Because it says a lot about you, your character.
Dress accordingly to whatever job that you're going for, whether it's casual or formal. Speak correctly, and it's really in your posture, your eye contact, your hair is done correctly. Don't be too pushy. You should have a positive attitude about yourself, about your employers. You should also have knowledge of whatever company it is that you're trying to work of, because they want to know that you know what you're doing and you know what you're getting yourself into.
I lied on my application. Being honest now, the part that said, have you ever been convicted of a felony? One mind says, say no. One mind says, yeah, put it down, you know. And I'm like, oh, this man is not going to hire me if he knew I was in prison, you know. So I put no. Let me tell you what happened. Okay. I knew my probation officer has the right to come to my job and to my house. So I'm weighing the odds. I'm saying, oh man, if she come to my job, then my boss is going to know I'm on probation, you know what I'm saying? Then what I'm going to tell my boss. So I never told my boss. So one day I was sitting at my machine working, and my supervisor tapped me on the shoulder. She says, come with me. I said, oh, first thing popped in my mind, they done found out I'm on probation. So I go upstairs, and the big boss is there. His name is Dave. So he goes, Carolyn, he goes, so he pushes my application in front of me. He goes, when you started working for me, you told me you wasn't convicted of a felony. I said, I lied. He says, why? I said, because I knew you wouldn't hire a convicted felon. He says, that's not true. He says, do you know your boss has talked about you so highly? He said, you are a good worker. He says, I don't give a what you did in the past. He says, this is now. He says, the past doesn't concern me. He goes, you got any more skeletons in your closet? And I says, no. I says, this is the only skeleton I had in my closet. He says, I'm not going to fire you. He says, because you're a damn good worker. And you know, I can only tell the girls that, you know, take your chance and put yes when you fill out an application. Don't lie. It'll catch up with you.
I pretty much just told him, I said, look, I understand, you know, that you're a little concerned about my incarceration, but I can tell you that should not be a concern. And then you whip out what you've done while you incarcerated. You know, they like to see that. They like to see what kind of positive things you have gotten out of being incarcerated. You know, keep your certificates. If you've taken, you know, little parenting classes, even if you've done, you know, participation in sports, it shows that you've participated in something that was not a mandatory thing. So you need to keep those certificates, because that are things that, you know, that you can show that employer. You can say, look what I did. You know, yeah, I messed up. I made a mistake a long time ago, but look what I did while I was incarcerated. This is what I wanted to do for myself, to help myself make a better life for myself. Please just give me a chance to prove to you that I am a good worker and that you can trust me, and I won't let you down. And a lot of times, they'll say okay, and they'll give you like they'll give you one of these like a working interview where you go in and you work for like a day. You don't get paid for it, but at least you could show them your abilities, and you could show them how you work with people. Or if you don't work with people, you could just show them, what type of abilities that you have on computers, or whatever you've offered them. You can prove it to them that you indeed just told them you had it, and here now you're showing them that you do indeed have it.
Another important preparation step is learning about the advantages to an employer when they hire a formerly incarcerated person. There are federal bonding programs and also substantial tax credits available to employers who hire you. The details of these can change from time to time, so before you're released, you should find out what the latest conditions are so that you can present them to your potential employers in job interviews.
There are a couple of programs. There's a federal bonding program that would cover that, and our job is to educate the employers as to that. That's free to the employers. And there's also a tax credit incentive for hiring people with convicted felons on their record in terms of tax incentives per year, about $2,400 a year per inmate. So there are some things that kind of offset those.
Finally, we need to address another powerful false belief, that the job market is racist. Many people of color are released with a chip on their shoulder because they believe everyone will discriminate against them. Once again, this can create a self-fulfilling prophecy, and going out to look for a job with this attitude will only hurt you.
It's not about what color that you may be as far as not obtaining employment. It all boils down to you presenting yourself to that employer in order to obtain that job. If you are qualified, that's what they're looking for. They're not looking at what color that you may be. They're looking at, are you able to fill out that job application? Are you able to interview? Are you able to communicate? How are you going to dress when you go to the interview? That's what it all boils down to.
I've had some real close relationships with whites, and at some point they forget that I'm black, and they'll say, oh, she's just like us. So it really, you have to go past that fear, the anger, the unforgiveness. You have to get past that, because the only person that you really hurt is yourself.
Of course, there is prejudice in the world, and you will encounter it from time to time. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to let their problem become your problem?
I would thank them for their time. And I would seriously have to hold my tongue. Because like I said, I know what I'm capable of doing. But I would still thank them for listening, and thank them for giving me their time, and carry on and not let that weigh me down.
There are people out there that are racist, and they think that they can't hire a black or Hispanic, a white person. But I would say that for them, if they think that, don't think that, don't take that out your mind. That's the first thing you have to do. And even though you will meet people like that, just don't give up. Don't put yourself down on that. Don't put yourself low. Just put yourself in a high position, and just keep on, and you'll get your job eventually. You would get what you want in life.
Well, I think that some things haven't changed, and people judge you on the first impression. So when they first see you and you're not the right persuasion, then they judge you on not only how you look, but sometimes your ethnic background. Sometimes there's some racial profiling. But if I've taught people, I think that if you can get your foot in the door and you look presentable and you can express yourself, more than likely people will give you a break. Once they get to know you, once people get to know a black person, a yellow person, a green person, they forget about the color.
Some companies, yes. Yeah, in some companies they look at that, they
be kind of racist, but I mean, it depends on you. That's how I see it. It depends on you, how bad you want the job and what you want to show them people for them to give you the job. It's no different either if you're white, black, Hispanic. It's no different. Once you get in your mind that you can do it, you're gonna do it. There's no such a thing as you can't.
I mean, I guess there is one. I mean, there is a difference in the system when it comes to whites or when it comes to blacks or whatever. But in terms of having a record, for me, I've never really felt that was primary because I've been black all my life. I was like, I didn't think of it as a barrier. So, but I do find having a record is a barrier. Being black with a record is a barrier. Because I'm like, oh, that fits that stereotype. The only thing I could say is I don't think people have to deal with the fact that they're black. They have to deal more so with the fact that they have a record and that they've really learned from their whatever happened and they've dealt with it.
If you're a person of color, my advice to you would be to look within yourself to see if you also have some prejudices that you need to release. Because I find that we mirror, and sometimes we don't realize it, but sometimes we attract people who have the same types of personalities that we have. And until we can work on ourselves, our inner selves, then we're going to continually attract those types of people.